We got a problem here, like a big problem. You might want to pull up a chair for this one. What's up, guys? Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. That's right, take that chair out from under your ass and actually put it out in front of you. See, because it's time to stand up. And I'm going to start here with a frightening statistic. That is, if you sit more than 6 hours a day uninterrupted, you are 40% more likely to die in the next 15 years. Now, I get it. There's a whole bunch of reasons and factors that make that stat appear as frightening as it is, but it is because we're sitting down more than we ever have in our lives. So what I want to do today is give you a game plan, a solid, easy to follow, not going to sit here and try to alter your entire schedule each day because that's not practical. I want to give you an easy to follow, step-by-step game plan so you can start breaking up those prolonged periods of sitting and reverse a lot of the damage that's being done to your body right now. All right, so if you're like me, you might actually benefit from a bit of a wake-up call in terms of how many hours a day you actually are sitting. So check out these numbers. The average person sleeps 7.5 hours per night, which leaves just 16.5 hours of waking time. In that time, if you're working, let's say, an 8-hour job and you're at a sedentary desk job, you're going to be sitting for a large portion of those 8 hours. Let's say your meals, you eat them throughout the day, that's an additional hour sitting down. If you watch TV or you work at your computer at night, let's say 7 to 11, that's an additional 4 hours. And if you're driving back and forth to work, your commute could be an hour or two additional. So if you add these all up, that doesn't leave a lot of time in terms of your waking hours that you're not on your butt. And if you look at that statistic I opened the video with, spending more than 6 hours uninterrupted sitting on your butt can lead to big problems. So as you can see, we got some big problems. So what type of problems are we talking about here? Well, big ones, like I said. We know that sitting too much can wreak havoc on your body, right? Sitting too much is going to lead to something called lower cross syndrome, which is going to tighten your hip flexors and weaken your glutes, which is going to wreak havoc even when you stand. And talking about wreaking havoc, our backs. Sitting too much can apply a lot of pressure on your discs in your back and create all types of adaptive muscular problems as well. Look, if we sat in a proper position, which we don't, with a normal S-curve, we can tolerate that downward force of gravity a bit better. But you can see that we sit more oftentimes like this in this exaggerated C-curve, and we apply downward pressure to that, it just gets worse. But it's when we look beyond the postural side effects that the true ramifications of sitting down too much become apparent. Because we know that if you do sit too long during the day, you're going to have poor circulation and blood flow. Added to the fact that you're going to have a decrease in insulin sensitivity paired up with a decrease in one of the key fat-burning mediating hormones in your body, by the way, by up to 90 to 95%, we realize that we're going to struggle with our weight as well, and adding more weight to the body is not going to make this issue any better. And if that's not enough, you're going to get older faster. That's right, the Journal of Epidemiology showed that even just sitting a couple hours in a day is going to make your cells in your body age at a much faster rate.
I don't believe that for a second. Not 1 second.
All right, so you probably say, now, Jeff, what do I do to bulletproof my body then? How can I stop this from happening to me? Well, here's where it all starts, guys. In the morning, first thing, I want you to hang around a little bit. I mean, literally, hang around. You see, I've given this tip before in a previous video. It's extremely important that you try to decompress your spine, realizing how much you're going to be sitting on it during the day, first thing in the morning. And the way we can do this is with either a pull-up bar or just a simple kitchen counter corner that you can anchor your body in like this. In either instance, the goal here is to try to hang around for 60 seconds. And you don't have to worry about picking your feet up off the ground. As a matter of fact, you want your toes to remain in contact with the ground to allow the pelvis to drop, to allow that spine to decompress. If you do this right, you'll feel the decompression level by level in your lumbar spine. If you were to try to pick your feet up off the ground, you might actually use the muscles in your core to hold on and prevent this from happening. You want to feel that drop. Again, 60 seconds whether you do this hanging from a bar or whether you do this by pushing up in the kitchen counter corner. So from here now, your entire plan can be simplified into just 3 simple steps: G, B, and S. And no, Jesse, it doesn't mean grab a bag of snacks. What the letters actually stand for are grab, bridge, and squat. And if you combine them with just a simple timer app on your phone, you're never going to screw this up. The first thing you want to do is get that timer app open and set it for 30 minutes. You don't want to go for more than 30 minutes sitting down. But don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to go walk a mile every 30 minutes or do something that's going to take up 5 or 10 minutes of your time because it's just not practical. It starts with just doing the grab portion. When the 30-minute clock goes off for the first time, I just want you to stand up and you simply grab your butt cheeks. That's right, just like Jesse's doing here. You put the heels of your hands on the top of them, the fingers running down them, and you push forward. Now the positioning here on your butt rather than your low back ensures that we're actually getting a healthy extension of your low back because we're controlling the pelvis and not just pushing in the area of the lumbar spine. But what you'll get here is actually a reversal of a lot of the postural damage that comes from sitting, right? We're getting extension of the hips as opposed to the flexion we get when we sit down. We're getting extension of the knees as opposed to the flexion of the knees and the tight hamstrings that come along with that when we sit down. We're getting the ability to open up the shoulders and chest as opposed to sitting there at your desk with your rounded shoulders. We're getting that increase in thoracic extension as opposed to that rounded position that we get from sitting down. So all these things get reversed quickly, and we hold this position for about 15 to 20 seconds. Now before we sit down, we do this one more time, except we do it actively, and this should feel amazing. So instead of just pushing, this time I want you to first squeeze your glutes and then contract your shoulder blades together as you push forward. Another 30 seconds or so here will do the trick. You can go right back to sitting down and resuming your workday until the next 30-minute timer goes off. And at this point, we actually move on to the B portion of our game plan, and that is the bridge. And the bridge here is going to give us a chance to get that active contraction of the glutes and an additional effect on the thoracic spine by reaching over towards that opposite side. I showed you this exercise as well and showed you how important it is, but once again, this is something that can be done very quickly and easily. You get 5 reps to each side, you get right back in your chair. We're talking about 15 or 20 seconds of work, but it doesn't go unnoticed the benefits that you're getting from simply just standing up and interrupting that sitting pattern that's doing all the damage it's doing to you right now. 30 minutes later, and that helpful timer of yours goes off once again, and this time we wrap it up with the S portion here, the squat. And that is you want to get into this position up against the wall and get into the deep squat. We need to have that mobility through our hips. Even though we have flexion of the hips by sitting down, we're really never going anywhere near 90 degrees or plus of hip flexion. And when we start to get degeneration in our hips, it is hip flexion that we lose. So we want to be able to maintain the ability to get into a deep squat, not to mention the fact that it has additional benefits in our ankle flexibility that are going to serve you as well. So get down against a wall, reach your arms up now, back behind you. This will give you, again, a reinforcement of thoracic extension and all the musculature involved in that, and get the rotator cuff activated. We have way too much internal rotation from sitting down all day. We put our arms up there and we simply try to slide them up towards each other. If you can get your hands to touch, great. They may not happen the first time you do this, but on subsequent tries throughout the day, they will. Just go for 3 repetitions here, and then spend an additional 30 seconds just sitting in this deep squat position. Come up out of it and get yourself back to work once again. So now you simply continue this rotation of G, B, S every 30 minutes throughout the day. That timer is going to make this an automatic process. And don't worry, if you miss 1 or 2 or 3 throughout the day, it's not going to matter. The fact is we're looking for a little bit of consistency, and rotating through these really simple and easy and short requirements here are going to go a long way to undoing the damage that all that sitting's doing to you. So maybe you're asking the question, well, Jeff, what if I'm actually working out already? Do I even need to do all this stuff? And the answer is a resounding yes, because research has shown that even up to an hour and a half of working out a day is not enough to counteract the damage that your body is undergoing by sitting down too much. So what I recommend is no matter where you're working out right now, one of the things you might want to do is focus on adding one simple exercise to your routine. If you haven't already, where have you been? Face pulls. You see, face pulls are the perfect antidote to all the postural imbalances and damages we get from sitting down too much. We can fix those rounded shoulders by strengthening those muscles of the upper scap and upper back and the rotator cuff by simply adding just a couple sets of face pulls to the end of every workout you do. It doesn't matter, again, if you're at the gym doing this version or if you're at home doing this simple version in a doorway. And so with a little bit of GBS throughout the day, hanging around in the morning, and maybe a little face pulls at night, you can see that you can undo the damage of sitting on this too much throughout the day and what it's doing to your body, especially if you're doing a lot of it right now. With that being said, guys, if you're looking for a step-by-step plan, all of them are available at ATHLEAN-X.com. We worry about the things that matter, muscle imbalances, postural corrections. They all feed our ability to perform in the gym and ultimately what our body looks like. They're all important. You can find them over there. In the meantime, if you found the video helpful, leave your comments and thumbs up below. Let me know what else you want me to cover. I'll do my best to do that for you in the days and weeks ahead. And also, if you haven't done so already, make sure you click subscribe and turn your notifications so you never miss a new video when we put one out. All right, guys, see you soon.